So I'm going to be answering a few questions that Uhloni sent me, and I have them here on my phone. Don't know if you guys can. Yeah, no, you can't. It's too light. So I'm going to keep on like looking this way or like looking down or that thing. So how did we meet? That's my favorite story to tell. I mean, till this day, I can tell that story, you know, like 10 times, I think, or even more. So I met my baby, the love of my life. I met him. I met him in Durban, at a hotel to be exact. There's a hotel in Umhlanga that him and the team, the people he was with, we're also going to slip in. So I just happened to just arrive at the time when they were also just driving past the car that I jumped off in. So I was attending a work function in Durban, year-end function, like beginning of December. So, and then they had a game to play the next day. I think the 6th of December was like the Friday, and then the Saturday after that, they had a match. So something, just now that I'm looking back now, knowing what I know, I just feel like there was just something prompting me to leave that party, just so he could see me at first, because he's the one who saw me first, type of thing. But it feels like I just needed to be there at that particular time. So long story short, I left the party early. I think it was going for 3, if not like 5 past 3 or so. Like, who leaves the party at that time? My mother's chicken in the background. So I'm in the countryside. Please pardon me. I don't know what kind of sound you are going to hear, but you are fortunate. I mean, it's not every day that you come to YouTube and then you hear the sound of chicken in the background. I don't think it's. And the time now is like 14:17. I don't know why this chicken is acting like this. So and then I got to the hotel. I was with my colleague, and my colleague dropped me off. By the time we were actually parked outside the hotel, just that time where I was just like taking my bag and things like that, just saying thank you for bringing me here, whatever. So I just saw this bus passing by, like driving past where we are. I didn't really care that much, but it was just something that's difficult not to notice, because it was like a branded bus, like with the team's name, like vividly, So, and then I went to check in. I didn't know they were coming, to the same hotel. We were actually parked, like directly, I think, outside the elevator section or something, but just like outside the hotel. So long story short, Gandhi, the bus that was driving past is actually going to use the other, like the basement parking. And they're coming, to the same hotel. By the time they got to reception, I was already checking in. Like I had my bag on the couches, like they have like this like big couches there that you can sit and then go to the like reception desk area to check in and stuff. So I had left my bag there, and then I went to check in. But as soon as like I started the process of checking in, because it was the first time being there, and I'm actually the one who chose that hotel, even that is a story for another day. That's like the entire story time on its own, like how that hotel came about, because it's not a hotel that would usually book at work. It's just it wasn't popular, but it was like a nice, good looking, I think, clean, I think it's a 4-star hotel if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, so even that Nje just makes me, now that I'm looking back, to actually think, I mean, it's like God was like prompting me. This is actually the hotel. This is the place where you're going to meet somebody who's going to change your life. Me wanting to leave the party early, I needed to live at that time. Otherwise, he was not going to see me. he was just not going to see me. I was probably going to walk in while they're eating dinner. Like, had I stayed up until like 6:30, going for 7, that's actually the time that people left that work party. So, and then long story short, he saw me there, but for me, it was difficult to keep eye contact because it's like, here's a group of like 18 men dressed the same kind of way. Oh my God, like that high level of testosterone was very intimidating for me. Anyway, I finished my business with the lady who was helping me at the reception desk, and then I came back. I remember I had to come back to the very same sofas, the very same couch that everybody, like these men, are sitting on. I didn't keep any eye contact with anybody. I just, I came back, gracefully took my bag, put my driving license and stuff, and then I went up to my room because there were like elevators where I entered Bona. They used the other entrance actually that I was not aware existed. So when they drove past, they were actually going to that other side. So I'm like, oh my God, let him lana ila, type of thing. So I went checked my room, whatever. Then I took that live video, like just like showing my room tour. And then I went down for dinner. I think 7ish or 6:45, and they were there. So now I got in. Another thing that made me feel a bit shy, because now I was actually like the only female there, except people who were assisting us, like waitresses and stuff. So, and then I was told I have a separate menu, and then I just sat by the door. I chose a table that was just like closer to the door. And then that's when the business started. I noticed that there was like this one particular table, like I don't want to sound I don't want to sound like I'm bragging or anything, but everybody kind of like looked at me, some like more than others. But at that particular time, it was still difficult to keep any eye contact with anybody because there were still a whole lot of people. So I think it was just the team. I don't think there was any other guest there except myself. So, and then like the lads finished eating, and there was like this huge exodus, and they left, but there was a table that remained. There was a table that remained. So then I started noticing, like, now it was easier for me to kind of like, suss out and kind of like see what's happening, around, my surroundings type of thing. Because now a whole lot of people left. I think that table was like comprised of like six or seven people. So that I could hang, So even my eating, I was like a bit relaxed because now, when I think I ordered wings for starters because I had a separate menu. Bona, they were eating buffet, but my one was a la carte, so I had to order from that. So, you're chewing and anything like that, but you can tell there's this heaviness of like people checking you out. Oh, actually, there was a guy who approached me who just came and sat on the other chair on my table, and then they reprimanded him like quickly, like, so that table remained, was like comprised of like even like older people and like younger, like my guy now. But he wasn't my guy then. So, and then that staring game started, and then he started staring at me. I'm like, okay, he's just probably looking my way because I'm seated by the door, you know what I mean? Like the first table, as soon as you enter the dining hall, I was there, like just slightly on the side, not like directly to the door, like no. So now I started seeing, I'm thinking, no, he probably just looking my way. And then, that process like went on and on and on. And then when I would lift my eyes and just look at them, because the table was kind of like, so I was facing their table, let me put it like that. Even though they were not close enough, I could still see, but I could not hear the conversations because they weren't close enough, obviously. So I'm hearing him like, speaking, I'm like picking up some Zulu here and there. I'm like, oh. Zulu man, Jesus, what's going on? But then at that time, it wasn't even about, like sabaweling somebody. No, it was not. At that stage, I was like relieved to, a whole lot of other boys left. So kind of thing. You know, I'm just like out there enjoying myself, because I mean the main reason why I wanted to be like booked there all by myself and my other colleague, like the other colleague, was because I didn't want to be in a space with like where a lot of my colleagues booked. So, and then I went up. Oh, okay. Before I went up, so something happened there. Oh my god, this story alone is gonna take the entire video. And let me try and just shorten it. Okay, and then he consistently checked me out. And then there was a time where we were together in the lift, and I think he sort of like orchestrated that as soon as I left. So I finished like my 3-course meal, except like 2 course, because dessert I took it upstairs. So, and then now in that elevator, it was easy for me to see this person was actually checking me out now. Because I had this thing of like, okay, because we we entered into the same elevator, and then I stood there, you know, looking down type of thing, on just like minding my business, you know, basically. And then I was like in my mind, I want to lift my eyes, like I want to look at this person like now at a close range. And if he's still staring at me, then definitely he was looking at me. And then I lifted my eyes. Lo and behold, he was piercing through my heart. He was just looking at me. I'm like, he just looked at me like, man, I was like the most beautiful person he's ever seen, type of thing. It made me feel special. Okay, no, he continued. When I went for breakfast in the morning, they were there, and then he tried, you know, making like some sign language type of thing that I must follow him outside and things like that, of which I did not do. But then, and then I left, and I got curious. I got curious, and I decided to just tap into my investigative skill, because I knew the team he was with. It's the name and the surname I did not know. So social media, the team's page popped up, but I started on Google, and then those like attempts were futile. And then I went to social media page, scrolled. I was there scrolling up until I got to a post where they were wishing him a happy birthday. I was like, guess what? They tagged him. So that's how we started, you know, talking. So I think I need to move on. When did you meet? I think I answered that. It was the 6th of December 2019. What attracted you to your partner? Oh my god, at that particular time, because I did not know him, that entire incident of just him consistently staring at me, and it was also just the way he was looking at me. Here, I'm not talking about somebody you're going to meet, you know, at the ATM or you in the bank or whatever, and it's just that, and then you look at him and you blush, you look away. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about somebody who looked at me as if he was studying me, you know. But it wasn't uncomfortable. At that time, it wasn't uncomfortable. When it happened in that elevator, for me, I just wanted to confirm if he was really checking me out. But there was just, man, there's just something. So I sort of like, that entire scenery of like events made me want to know more about him. So I think at first, that's what attracted me to him. Hence, I looked him up, and I was like, because there was just no way I was going to follow him outside. I'm just old school like that. But, you know, I got to know then the person that he is after talking to him. So I don't know whether I also need to touch on that. But I think that the other questions are still going to come up, and perhaps I'll touch on the things that I realized about him now that I was closer, you know, now that it wasn't about checking each other out. So he made me blush. There was a time I also looked at him, that was like at breakfast, and then I looked at him, he was still staring, and then I smiled. I smiled and I looked away, and then ngaqala ngablusha ke, yabo. So what do you love about your partner? Oh, okay, so now this is the question. What do I love about my partner? I think it's the way he makes me feel, number one, and the way he's so composed, and the way he's so calm, you know. I don't know if it's a man thing or something. He's so centered, he's so calm, he is so, you know, sure on who he is, and it's just that, you know. And I think the way he makes me feel, man, the way he makes me feel and the way he gives me his attention, his time, basically, man, I mean, it's just, yeah, man, on top of everything that I've said, what I love about him is who he is and how he approaches different situations and things, and how over time and gradually he's become so transparent with things with me. I think he trusts me. Yeah, I think he does. Just being himself and being sure of who he is, and you know, being calm, collected and centered. He's just not somebody you'd shake easily in any way possible. He's just, you know, he's just centered. He's just, and the way he treats me. I think what I love the most about him is the way he treats me. I'm somebody who's not afraid to share if I'm feeling any aggrieved in any way, or if there are things I don't like. And sometimes my how of that communication is sometimes like off, you know. But him being him, he's just able to, you know, like find a way of keeping me. What can I say? Like, even though I do go like astray with how I decide to just address matters and share things that make me upset, he's still, you know, he's still himself. He's still, you know, even though he listens, he's just still, hey man, words fail me. But I love the fact that he's not the type of person that I am, in terms of, you know, sometimes I get, you know, agitated over small things, really. And he's just not like that. He's just, he gives me stability. I think that's the word I'm looking for. He balances me out. He keeps me aligned. Wow, man. Do I need to to make this the entire video about what is it that I love about him? Oh my flipping God. He's just something that I need in terms of his character and how he treats me. He's exactly what I need. A kind of man who's not wavering, a man who's like sure of himself. He gives me depth. You know, when we talk in football and we like, the team has depth when we look at players, like how many strikers they have, like how many box to box midfielders they have, and you know, and like sweepers and you know, the left wingers and whatever wingers, you know, in terms of when you can't like have like 3 strikers or like 4 strikers in a team that really wants to win. You need to double your efforts, or else even if you convert some midfielders into strikers and things like that into different position, that's what we call depth. Even when we look at the bench, there's like players and you're like, Nukovic is in the bench. You're like, oh, you know, Kambole type of thing. But you still have your Dolly playing, you have your Nkosimpile playing. But when you look at the bench, it's still, you know, usifana uthola uMares esebhenjini kudlala like your Sterling, your Jesus. Kodwa uma ubheka ibhenji, you're like, Kevin De Bruyne, like Mares type of thing. He gives me that depth. Like I feel like I have depth because of what he brings, you know, in my life. So let me move on. Do you remember your first date? How how was it? Can you tell me about your first date? Yes. What I remember the most, obviously I remember everything, but you know, something that I just can highlight about our first date, he kept on complimenting me, and we obviously talked about what happened, you know, at the hotel while I was eating and things like that, when he kept on checking on me. And then I was like, why don't you write a note or something with like your number and just ask the waiter to bring it to me? Because he was with his colleagues type of thing. It was also like awkward for him, but he's just like, I mean, I just like this girl, but okay, there's nothing I can do like right now. I think his options were kind of like limited. The only thing he tried was doing those sign language to actually, you know, send me like signals of some like, let's go talk outside. And like I saw it, but I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. So we recapped that entire experience, and he was like, no, I tried actually. I tried, and yeah, you didn't. I was just like looking at you, and he kept on like complimenting, like, hey, umuhle, like on that day, look at hey, umuhle, umuhle. That's what I remember. And other things, yeah, and other things, okay, and other things that I'm not gonna say. When did you know that you are now in love? Uh, I think, like, I'm gonna answer this in twofold. I think when I actually saw that entire thing happening, I just got attracted because now I was looking at him. I was sure he was checking me out, how he looked like. He was just like, I'm like, oh, yo, you know, type of thing. So, and then we started talking on WhatsApp. Like, we started talking on Facebook, where I found him through like his page, like his football team's page type of thing. So and then that happened, and I think when did you know that you are now in love? Yeah, I think it's just no. And then we started talking, and obviously there was like, yo, I love you type of thing. I can't remember like when, but like my second fold now of me answering this question, when I met but it's fine. When I met Babe, ne, like we had like a long time like where we were like conversing without seeing each other and things like that. We were still, you know, planning to, he was like, please come this way. I was like, no, yeah, well, no, that talking stage type of thing. But I was still, you know, in that talking stage. Obviously I was not going to spend my time talking to a nigga I did not like, yeah, well. So I was clear, I like him. Love, I'm not quite sure, up until I think we met, and then we started, you know, getting to actually see each other, hold conversation outside, then like phone calls and things like that. Like I'm looking at him now, like he's sent type of thing, because now he was like far off. I could not even tell, you know, I'm trying to say it was like more real. Like now my second fold of the question, so we met up, and like we had like a small we had like a small disagreement, and we broke up. Like immediately after we met, Kanti, I was pregnant. You know, when I actually, like, we had the disagreements over, like, I think it was over like I called you or something, or like WhatsApp, like small things really. And I was like, in my mind, I was like, oh, okay, it's one of those. Like, I forgot about him. And 2 weeks after that breakup, or that, was it 2 weeks or a week? I can't remember. No, it was less than that. It might have been less. Okay, those time frames between 2 weeks, like, or like 8 days after, I realized I'm pregnant. I actually, when I met him for the first time, this when I felt pregnant. Long story short, now I was pregnant, and then the conversation changed. I was like, hey, like we actually had to talk about that disagreement, that tiny small disagreement, because now we had like serious things to discuss. I was pregnant. So, and then that entire process went on. We were talking, whatever. He was like part of the entire thing, you know, after a little bit of like, you know. So when I met him after that, after all of that, that is actually when I realized, hey, I actually love this person. So it was probably hormones, me like just, you know, there would even be times where I'd tell him that, like, firstly, I don't like you, you know. Hey, pregnancy. So when I met him after all of that, there was like, time when we were not like seeing each other and things like that, but we were still. But when I met him after that, I was like, oh my God, I love this man. Like, I love this guy. What was wrong with me? Thinking, oh my God, there was even a time, I think it's just pregnancy hormones and things like. I was like, I just felt, you know, when something feels like, when something falls into place, when someone feels like home, and you have like this great amount of peace within you by just laying next to them, type of thing. Something I actually never felt when I met him the first time. I felt it. I was like, oh my God. And everything started making sense. I was like, oh my God, it makes sense, you know? Like, he felt like home for me. And for once, I did not worry about any other thing. Oh my God, he was just, I think that was the time for me when I realized, and I'm like, oh my God, yes, this is my man actually. Before he became my baby daddy, like, he was my man. Now I feel like I never got a chance to love him when we met, like, and then we had that little disagreement and whatever. I never got a chance to actually get to know who he was. And then the next thing, we were talking about pregnancy stuff and things like that, doctor's appointment. He was still far from me, you know what I mean? But then there was just like, hey man, this was my man type of thing. Like this, I'm like, this is the guy that I never got to actually love and explore and understand. And I felt privileged. And I was like, oh my God, we're here again. So yeah. Hey, we are at like 20 minutes, 26 minutes into this video. It's fine. How did you know your partner was the one for you? I think this, it's just us reconnecting again, and the fact that the peace and the fact that I was not afraid of, like, I'm not afraid of anything in terms of, like, I can just walk naked, like, anyhow, you know what I mean? There's nothing I wouldn't tell him, and I don't feel like I'm putting on a show with him. Like, he knows me, like the raw me, in terms of you know, when I start getting mad over like things, like petty things, you know, like we like WhatsApp thingy, like whatever, like I feel like we don't have to nasnas isn't like hey, serious arguments or anything. No, we just argue over like WhatsApp here and there. Like, but I saw you were online and you didn't respond. Like, my nigga's been talking to me like the entire day, and that one particular time, Shambe say like after an hour or like 2 hours or so, and then I text him again, and it's late, for heaven's sake, and then I text him again, and I'm like, it's like I was not online, I was probably sleeping, and the phone was like online. So those are the things we argue about. So how he still loves me, how he's still constantly, you know, coming back to me and be like, you know, have like a proper, it's like, you know, sometimes when you get upset, it's not easy to talk to you. Like this, you just don't you just don't hear anything I say when you're upset. Sometimes I'm just going to let you be upset, and then when you cool off, then we're going to have a conversation. That patience is just something I've never experienced before. I mean, the way he keeps on, the effort, oh my God, the effort, the things that we probably thought about before are actually the things that he has tried so much to work on. And it's just like little things, like I'm saying, we don't have like huge arguments where I'm like, you cheated on me, or I saw this. It's something I never had to deal with. I don't know on his side if he did that. It's probably I'm away, I don't know, like I'm far off to actually pick up those things. But I never, like, since we reconnected, I never had time where I didn't know, like, didn't speak to him like the entire day or whatever, you know. So it's the effort and the fact that, you know, when they say people change for who they want to change for, that's actually true, because I've seen him put efforts. I've seen him sometimes ngize ngibone ngithi yazi ngathi ngiyamhlupha umfana wabantu manje, yabo, and just feel bad, but I'll still get my way, if you know what I mean. I'll still get what I want. the effort, man, it's so attractive. Effort for me, effort, like that peace, and actually like the entire scenery of how we met and how things played that day, I think is the one for me. I don't know what the future holds for us, but I think for as long as we still, you know, want this, the future is going to be like this. If we still want it, if we both still putting effort, like I'm saying, it's the effort from him. And yeah, man, I think it's just is a one. I'm not even like that. I know that even when, you know, we are not seeing eye to eye, I still know, you know, deep down my heart, like he's the one. I'll talk crazy and like do crazy things and stuff. Not like, when I say do crazy things, I don't want to sound like I'm a psycho or anything. I'm just saying like I'll call him and things like that. And be like, no, can we talk when you're not this upset and things like that. I'm like, no, we're going to talk like right now. You know, type of thing. But he still finds it in his heart to actually like come back to me and like speak to me like properly. He's by far not a perfect person, and I don't think I would want him if he was perfect. But through all his imperfections, he's just the one person for me that I'm willing to go an extra mile and do things I was not doing, I've never done, things sometimes that make me feel uncomfortable. But for him and for this relationship, I can do. Any challenges that you all have overcome in your relationship, I think it's that first disagreement that we had, and actually me finding out I was pregnant, actually us finding out we were pregnant. So that entire thing just, you know, had a potential of actually breaking us up even further. Remember, we already broken up, but it was just a matter of weeks. I don't know, it was the second week, because I think the first time I called him after that disagreement, also I was at a time in my life where like I felt really great about myself. You know, I had bought it, like I had like a new car type of thing. You know, I was like, that's that's the state and the stage it was in terms of how I felt about myself. So hence it was easy for me to actually say, after that disagreement, I'm done. Like, who does that? Like one small argument over a phone call or over some, so you know what I mean. So that actually was our biggest challenge, and we were able to talk. And I think, if anything, if I did not fall pregnant that time, against both our wills, cause we had taken precaution, but still, you know, had I not, you know, fell pregnant, I don't think I was going to talk to him ever again. The very same thing that had the potential to separate us and have us not talking to each other, of which was going to be like horrible, because I mean, here's a person, here's a child who has nothing to do with any of our differences and arguments, who's now involved. And if we were not to talk again, what would that look like? But I feel like our son is actually the one thing that had us talking again, or that gave us a chance to actually see with, oh, okay, I mean, I love this person, you know what I mean? Because we had to talk about something. I'm definitely sure if there was nothing to talk about, I would have like probably blocked him and moved on. Like I've done it before, no, but not like that. You know, I'm just saying, like with other people, it would have looked like that. So those were challenges, that how I felt pregnant, and having to go back to him and talk about this after, you know, having broken up with him. That was like very challenging. And yeah, but we settled any other difference outside of that. And I think that the other challenge that we constantly are going through is the distance thing. We don't have a privilege of actually kissing it up, or just seeing, even if we had like that small argument during the day, like, you know, that you're going to see your person later on, or like tomorrow. No, we don't have that. We don't have that privilege. Distance is still an issue, and like how he works his working hours. But I like how we've all mitigated that part. Like we talk every day, sometimes twice a day, 3 times a day. Like there are no like rules or regulations, but we sort of like talk to each other just to make sure that we keep working on this. Because if we were not to communicate or anything like that, and we're not seeing each other, I don't think our relationship will have a chance. How has your challenges grow you in your relationship? How has it made the relationship stronger? I think it's just the willingness. There was a time I was not talking to him, still my going through my first trimester and stuff. I think that's when I actually felt this, huge dislike against him. I don't know, but I think it was hormonal. Now that I look back, I mean, the guy was there and I'd say things, man. I'd say hurtful things to him. Hey, when somebody's meant for you, you'd find a way. Like, it can take you like 3 years. I'm not an expert when it comes to love. Like, I'm not. I am not by far. It just, kicks my butt. It kicks my butt now and then or wherever. So I'm not going to say now just because I know that I've met like the one now I want to sound like an expert. No. But I'm just saying people will stay no matter what. But I don't think we should take advantage of that. Just because we are sure, oh, so this person is going to stay no matter what. I don't think that should be the mentality. But I'm just saying people will stay regardless. So I think it's just all of that has made us the type of people that we are like right now. I think after reconnecting with him, everything made sense for me. Everything was just, it was unveiled. Now it then made sense how we had to meet the way we met. What is the greatest thing you have overcome as a couple? What is the greatest thing we have overcome as a couple? I think, I'm going to sound like a broken record. I'll keep referencing like on this one thing. What is the greatest thing you have overcome? Distance and actually having to fall out the way we fell out the first time. Because one thing though about my baby daddy, he'd say, I love you. He'd still say things like that. Even me in my mind thinking, no, I'm done. Even, leading up to the time we actually reconnected, he'd say things like, and like, I love you. I love my son and I love you. So now there would be a time when I'm thinking like, it's just like talking about his son. Because in my mind, I'm thinking, hey, it's just for us to co-parent or anything. That was like the mandate I had. Like that time I was like, it's about my son and my son only. Because even if I'd like not to talk to this guy, but I kind of like have to have a healthy relationship, talk to him for my son, and about my son. He kept on showing that he wanted more than that. And I was just not hearing it up until, up until things happened. And then we had, when we actually met, when we actually reconnected, it was not even a planned thing. And he was like, hey, I'm in Durban. Mina, I stay in Dundee. For me to actually be in Durban while he's in Durban, that's like another miracle. That's like another setup. It's like we were set up somehow so that we could, meet and actually stop with all the nonsense of like thinking, we're done. So he kept on. He was like, he would say things like, I'm like, till now, he's just not get tired of telling me he loves me. How has your relationship changed you for the better? I'm more considerate. Man, and considerate in a sense that, like not long ago I was seeing some post coming from my Facebook memories. There's like a post I shared of a meme. It's actually a meme of like guys sitting around the table, and there's like this basket or basin like filled with a lot of phones, and with a caption that says, whoever's girlfriend is going to call first, that person is going to settle the bill. So I shared that, I think 3 years ago, I shared that, and then I was like, I think my man would not pay this bill because I'm just somebody who's calling. I'd hardly call. I even said I sometimes just be like low vibrational in a relationship. That's not the person I am right now. That's not the person I am right now. Like, I call, I want to find out how he's doing. He calls me too. You know, he's still that type. He's even now when he calls me, I kept my phone like this, you know. After that call, I'll be blushing, and I'll be like, God, I see it's you. And I'll be like, you know what I mean? Even now, I'll be like, oh my God, I just love him. And then I'll start feeling bad for sometimes acting crazy, you know, when we have a small argument. And then I'll be like acting crazy and things like that. You know, it has changed me because I have this desire of wanting to become better because I have him. I have this desire of wanting to become like a better girlfriend even. So I'm no longer that girlfriend. I think you'd pay the bill. Now he'd definitely pay the bill. But I'm not calling like crazy. I mean, some things, they just happen organically. I know, because like right now, after filming this, I'm going to text him on WhatsApp. I'm like, hey, babe, how's your day going? Because he called in the morning. He was exhausted from like the game yesterday and things like that, and that game did not go according to plan. They lost. So that for me, it has changed me to be like more considerate. I'm not afraid to take risk in a relationship. I'm definitely doing things I never thought I'd ever do in a relationship. Like right now, it has unveiled me to actually see my areas of growth and my strength. This is a relationship that has exposed my strength, and it has given me a role. I know the kind of role I play in a relationship without being told by him, and constantly him having this kind of conversations of like, this is not how you do in life. You don't approach things like this, because if you approach things like this, you know, you might end up in this kind of situation. I never had a guy, you know, like that who cares so much. I guess if he was like somebody else, or if he didn't care, I think he would have like given up a long time ago. I'm also not trying to portray that I'm a difficult, oh yes, I am a difficult person to love, but not in a sense of me not having things to offer, or not in a sense of me offering nothing. No, in a sense of sometimes I feel like I sit with a red pen. Yeah, man, I feel like I sit with a red pen. It is nothing to brag about, nothing to be proud of. Sometimes I feel like I sit with a red pen and I'm like, I think it's because of the previous hurt. You subconsciously wait for something that's going to go wrong. Even if it's not there, like a small scent of that wrongness, you there. Sometimes it's not even that. So here I am, I have a guy who loves me so much, who's proven over time, like over and over again. Sometimes I'd feel like, I think he's going to see this video. I'm actually going to have him watch this video, because I think it's going to be good for our relationship, for him to actually know how I feel in this kind of like, you know, way. Now that I'm like, you know, having to answer questions. What is it that I wanted to say? Sometimes I'll be feeling like, got him type of thing. Now I'm going to see. Okay, let's see what he's going to say now type of thing. And then ngimbone futhi ukuthi akukho lapho yabo nje, like I'll call sometimes and he's not picking up at night, and I'm like and he's always redundant. Mhlambe after isikhathi esincane usiyabuyela kumina, uyafona, ngiyamuzwa mhlambe lamajita bayibukela ibhola. You know what I mean? Isn't it like there've been like incidences lapping it. Oh, okay. Gimbambi or whatever type of thing. So he's just, I don't know. Man, what's the question? What's the question I'm responding to? How has your relationship changed you for the better? It has changed me. Like, I feel like everything I do now, like I have to put an extra effort because I feel like it is no longer for me only or about me only. Now I'm thinking about our little family, our little beautiful family. I'm considerate in a relation, like very considerate. I've never been like a bad person or a bad girlfriend. But you know, I feel like nginginale edge I want to be better. I want to be a better person because now there's this great person at my disposal. And I just cannot be the one who's messing up. And the messing up I'm talking about, I'm not talking about the cheating, messing out. There's like out of the way. It's not even something that's, you know, ever been an issue with me. It has never. I've never, you know, I've never been that person, like in terms of like not pushing him away type of thing. Up until I know this is it, Manjin Katel. No, that's the person I know I have a good thing going and I have him, you know, to take care of and respect. Song is feel like I find myself even praying more because I'm like, God, I don't want this. He has never given me a reason to feel like, you know, he's going to walk away or whatever. But I know I don't want to be the one who's pushing him away. I don't want to be the one who's going to mess things up because things are really going well. I don't care about what's going to happen in the future because I don't know. But the present and the current is everything I ever wanted. And I still, you know, I still pinch myself like I'm saying he calls me and I'll be like, Lord. And he just says things and I'm like, I see this you, God. And I'll be like, thank you, God. I love him so much and things like that. You know, he just, I want to be a better person. I'm not afraid to share my weaknesses with him. When we have conversation, I tell him that sometimes I have this weakness of wanting to live. And I think he knows it best. Because remember, our initial disagreement, didn't I live? I did. You know, when I called him about, you know, my pregnancy, telling him this is what is happening, and we were all like confused, and even him was like, remember how things, you know, transpired. I'm like, yeah, I know. Before we could talk about that, he said he just wants to apologize because, you know, he didn't understand what is it that he did. But if that he ever said to me or made me feel, he just wants to apologize. I'm out here thinking, why do you know he's saying all of that? I'm thinking to myself, I don't care. In my mind, I'm like, I don't care about that, bruh. We have a problem. I'm pregnant. And I don't know how. And I don't want to be pregnant during the pandemic. And we took precautions, you know, type of thing. And he's going on about he's just going on about, hey, I don't know if there's anything I did to hurt you. Excuse me, to hurt you or whatever, something I said. Just want to apologize because I feel like now you just don't need me and things like that. In my mind, I'm like, this is cute and all, but I don't care about that. I just want us to talk about how is it that I'm pregnant right now, you know, type of thing. So I'm a better person and I want to be a better person even more for myself, yes, but for him, because now I feel like I have a responsibility to make sure that things do not change because I'm tired. Who am I supposed to meet now and love and get to know and understand? I'm tired. I feel like I found the person who just is everything for me that I want in all his imperfections. Who else do I want? Now I need to put in the work. I need to make sure, because I keep reinventing myself in terms of my career and things like that, so that I remain relevant and then I remain, you know, interesting and intriguing. I need to put in the work to ensure that. So it has changed me like that. It has given me a new drive. We have this cute boy. We understand, you know, we have something that we're working towards, you know, together. And yeah, that's it about my relationship. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.